Citizens of the universe, welcome to the first episode of the Neutral Lens podcast. Our mission here is to take an objective look at the world around us, create a healthier mindset towards our lives, and offer a unique perspective on anything that life may throw at us. Things we will be discussing include relationship scenarios, lifestyle changes, or even math, sciencey things, anything interesting that can happen in this world. So, let's get into it. All right, so the first question is, there's this girl. She has a boyfriend. He is 22. She's 20 years old. And he met her parents, and they don't approve of him. And they want her to break up with him. They say he's too party happy, so to speak. He drinks a little bit, which they don't like. They're not a family that drinks at all. And they're kind of rooted in more traditional ways. They just don't like that type of guy, and they want her to date people who are more aligned with their values. So yeah, they want her to break up with him, and she really doesn't want to, so what should she do? So short answer is she can tell her parents to stuff it. Long answer is her parents are now putting her in a really difficult situation where she's forced to pick between her immediate family and potentially the love of her life, which is not a good situation to be in at all. You know, like, I think she needs to do some soul searching and figure out what her priorities are and whether they align more with her parents or whether they align more with this boyfriend. Does she think this drinking thing is a problem? Because it doesn't seem like it is a heavy drinking problem. It's just he drinks a little bit and he's 22, which is quite young, but still legal. So it depends on what she thinks about that. It depends on what she thinks about her parents' type and if she agrees with that at all, if she wants to make them happy. Or if she's kind of just like, this is my relationship and I'm going to do what I want to do with it, and like whatever she aligns with more, that's the path she should take, but that means either breaking up with her boyfriend or cutting off her parents, which sucks, but that is life. You figure out who you don't really align with anymore and you kind of just move away from them. You move on. It's not really worth it to constantly keep people around if they're just taking away your happiness. Because if they force her to break up with him and she doesn't want to, then she's going to resent them for the rest of her life, potentially. Maybe she finds somebody better in, just a little bit and it's all good. But there's going to be a lot of resentment. There's going to be a lot of anger there. And she just needs to make the right decision for herself, even if that means that it's going to really piss off her family. Because at the end of the day, it's her relationship. And for her parents to kind of get involved in that, like, they only mean the best, Most of the times, they're just trying to help you out and get what's best for you. And maybe their type is what they think is best. And other people just have, I don't know, too many red flags. But, they're not the ones who are in the relationship. They're not the ones who are seeing these people at their best, seeing these people at their worst. And that's a decision only you can make because, again, what are your priorities? Where do you stand with this? And I think it also comes down to a question of control, right? Like, obviously, your parents are in control of a lot of your life when you're growing up. They sign you up for sports. They make you do your homework before you can play, all sorts of things like that. But at the end of the day, they're doing that in your self-interest. But at what point does it become too controlling where it doesn't feel like you have free will? It doesn't feel like you are able to make decisions for yourself, where instead of just suggesting, hey, maybe do this or that, when it comes to your relationships, they're trying to actively control who you're dating and tell you can't do this, because then it starts infringing on your free will, right? And I think that's where it oversteps a certain line, where you can't be actively controlling somebody else. You can only give them suggestions, and it is up to them to make that decision. And if it doesn't align with what you want, you can't force them to follow what you want. And the same thing applies to friendships or just any sort of relationship as well, right? Where you feel like if, someone is overbearing, over controlling in your life, or just maybe preventing you from chasing what you want, from getting true happiness, I guess, then those are the people you want to cut out of your life and move on from. Like, they may have been friends and they may have been good friends, But at some point, it is time to move on. If you just have too many differences, you got to find a different path. You guys are not on the same wavelength anymore. So yeah, that is an important lesson to learn. It is a hard one for sure. But yeah, she's going to have to do some soul searching and just figure out where she stands. Does she agree with her parents? Maybe he's got too many red flags. Or is she going to tell them, hey, this is my relationship. I like him. I'm going to do what I want. All right, next question. I think this is an interesting topic. Is smoking really that bad? Now, this is going to sound crazy when I say it out loud, but just hear me out. I don't think smoking is that bad. I think the addiction to smoking is bad. So like if you have one cigarette, is it really going to do that much harm to you? I don't think so. Obviously, it is better to have 0 cigarettes than 1, but it's not the end of the world, so to speak. And I'll give you an example of what I mean. So let's just say you have a chronic smoker. They smoke 1 cigarette a day, or not 1 cigarette, a pack of cigarettes every single day. So 20 cigarettes per pack, every day for 20 years. That's a lot of damage that you're doing, right? Like this person is significantly unhealthy. They're probably going to have a lot of lung problems for the remainder of their lives. But let's just cut that down for a second, and let's just say they smoke 1 cigarette a day, every day for 20 years. So now you're looking at the same damage that the guy who smokes 1 pack a day does for 1 year, right? If you just smoked 1 year and then quit after that, that's the same amount of damage that you're doing smoking 1 cigarette a day, every day for 20 years, but spread across a much larger frame of time. So already you're looking at significantly less damage, to the point where obviously it's still really bad, but it's not going to be that insanely detrimental. And then let's cut that down again to you have 1 cigarette every 20 days and you do that for 20 years. So that's the equivalent of looking at someone smoking 1 cigarette every day for 1 year, which at that point really isn't doing that much to you, to be honest. And you might even be giving your body enough time to somewhat heal where it's not that insane. Now, of course, not smoking at all is much better than doing this, but in moderation, you're really not doing that much over that long period of a time, if that makes sense. Of course, the problem is that nobody can do this, right? Because you get addicted. And that's why I say addiction is the problem. Like the actual smoking itself, not that big of a deal. But when you get addicted and you're putting so much tobacco and nicotine into your body all the time, that's when you start to have issues. But yeah, like addiction is the real monster, which I feel like everyone knows. Everyone knows this already, but they don't really think about it. It's more of a mindset change where stop thinking about smoking as the problem and start thinking about addiction as the problem, right? And of course they go hand in hand, but like you can see the same thing in other recreational drugs, in alcohol, in even like watching porn, where you can drink a little bit on occasion and you'll be totally fine. But if you are drinking a lot every single day, that's when the addiction kicks in. You can't stop, and that's when you see the real damage start to happen. Or even like water, which, water is good for you, but if you have too much water at one time, you see like marathon runners, if they drink too much water at the end of the marathon, they can actually die because it messes up like the electrolyte balance or something in your blood, and it can cause death. So even water, when taken too much at once, can be bad for you. Moderation in everything is good, moderation in everything. Just the real issue becomes that no one can really control themselves when it comes to smoking, when it comes to other drugs. And that's the real problem that we have to fight, not the smoking itself. All right, so last topic. We're going to do 3 at a time in these episodes. should you delete all your ex's pictures from social media? Like, what is your intention doing so, you know? Like, are you trying to just completely wipe them from your memory, completely wipe them from your history? Or are you just trying to disassociate yourself with them? Like, I don't want to see this person, I don't want to think about them. Or maybe you don't want other people to see them with you. Like, hey, maybe my future boyfriend, girlfriend, they see these pictures and start questioning it. You know, there's a few different reasons that I think people do. Those are some of the main ones, I think. But I honestly don't really think you should, unless you have a really good reason, like this person is abusive. But it just feels like you're wiping out really good memories, which of course they might not be good memories anymore because of their involvement in it. But I've never really agreed with wanting to disassociate yourself with your history, or remove or change certain parts of your history, even just publicly, because you disagree with it. You know, I don't like the idea of completely wiping someone out of your memory just because they were bad and you don't like them anymore. You know, I think it's an important part of who you are and, you know, your journey in life. Even if it was a bad one, you shouldn't be only showing the positives. You shouldn't be only thinking about the positives, because the negative aspects shape you just as much as the positives. And those are important steps in your life that you have to take. They were important lessons they're learned. And you may not like it, you may not agree with it, but those things happened. And I think that embracing that past can be good in helping you move on. It can be good to just, I don't know, like feel not so terrible about what happened, so to speak, you know? Like, I just think people dodge their problems, to be honest. Like, but I get it. It's not a bad thing to do necessarily. I just think that your reason has to be good. You can't just say, okay, I broke up with them, they're gone, I'm wiping them completely. If it triggers like PTSD or something, you know, obviously then that's an issue, or if there's something else involved with it. But to just say, oh, like, we broke up, I don't really like them anymore, I don't think it's good enough reason to just say I don't want them on my social media, you know? Like, people will do whatever they want, and you can do whatever you want. Going back to the earlier topic about control, right? Like, you can do whatever you want. But to me, it just feels like you're almost trying to dodge your problems or dodge future problems, rather than just owning up to it and saying, hey, we had a bad relationship, or we had a bad ending to the relationship. And you just accept it and move on. And one thing I do want to talk about, though, is if you have that partner who then asks about, hey, why do you have your ex's pictures on your social media? I think those people are just a little bit too, I don't know, narcissistic, egotistical, something. In the sense that, you know, again, why are you pressing somebody about a past relationship? Why can't you just accept that? Like, are they supposed to lie to you and say that you're the first person? No, you know? And if they had past relationships, well, there you go. There's the evidence, you know? So yeah, I just wanted to address that. And yeah, that'll do it for episode 1. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you have any questions you want to answer, topics you want discussed, just send it to my socials at Neutral Lens Pod. And yeah, this will be a weekly recurring thing. So I'll see you guys next week.